Hi, I'm Keith Cooper from Northlight Images, and in this short video I'm just going to show the process of making a large fine art print on the Epson P900. Now the P900 takes paper up to 17-inch width, which means it will happily print on A3 sheet paper. Now this particular paper is an Epson paper. It's Epson Fine Art Cotton Textured Bright. Now I'm going to print a colour image on this. It's a textured paper and I have relatively few images that I might choose to print on a textured paper, but I'll show an example of one here. I normally prefer the smooth finish. The bright finish, bright white, is good for some photos. The natural finish is better for some. It's up to you to choose. But I have another video and several articles about choosing which paper you like best. It's not a simple process, but when you find the paper that you want, stick with it and get the best out of it, rather than keep trying continually looking for new papers in the hope that they'll give you something just that little bit better. If you don't take the time to actually learn to print properly and get the best results from a particular paper, then you've got nothing to base your improvements on. But anyway, let's just do a print for this. With boxed papers like this, treat them with care, even though the box is there, because the bit you want to be wary of damaging is the corners. I get more problems from printing from problems with corners of paper than I do any other. I'm just going to pop that one there. Let's load it up properly. I've set the guides here to A2. I'm going to open them up just a little bit more just to make it easier to drop into place. There we go. I don't want to squeeze the paper too much. But as you see, it takes up quite a bit of space. I'm loading this particular paper via the top feed, which you can do for single sheets. If you have thicker papers and board, which I've looked at printing board elsewhere, you pull the front feed out here, it goes in. But do remember, if you're printing A2 paper, the paper has to go right the way through the paper, through the printer, and this one's got the optional roll paper adapter on it. Obviously no roll paper in it at the moment, but you could feed it through and it comes out of a slot at the back and it will stick out some 30-40 centimeters at the start. The paper is loaded, goes right in, comes out the back, and then is printed, and the print comes out the front, much as it does here. For papers of this thickness, this is a 300-gram paper if I remember rightly, the top feed is fine. For heavier papers you may need to use the front feed, but as I say, don't forget that space you need at the back if you're printing big sheets like this. Anyway, I've got the paper loaded. It says premium luster. Well, it isn't. That's just what I happened to print before. So we will press that. I will go to, and on this I'm using the Epson Ultra Smooth Fine Art paper setting. Now I know this isn't Epson Fine Art Smooth, Ultra Smooth Fine Art paper, but it doesn't matter. This is the nearest setting to it, so I'm going to use that one. It's also the setting that I've used for creating my ICC printer profiles. So if you have a paper that isn't matched in the settings here, use what's closest or what has been specified for when the profiles were made. So there we go. I'll select Ultra Smooth Fine Art paper. This now says paper type Epson Ultra Smooth Fine Art paper, paper size A2, because that was the last size I was printing. I could change it to what I want. So we'll go OK. It's now ready to print. It says here it's ready, Epson Ultra Smooth Fine Art paper. We're set to go. It's exactly the same if I were printing A4, A3, A3 plus, any other size, loading from the top here. If you set the paper here, it helps you. You don't necessarily have to, because you can override it from the computer. But I find that setting the paper type here just doubly reinforces what I'm doing. And if I'm doing lots of prints and maybe swapping papers and things, it is easy to get confused. And sheets of paper, fine art paper this size, do not come cheap. You do not want to be wasting many of these, but that's all set up. I'll now go to the computer and hit print. Now, for ease of explanation here, I'm using Epson print layout. I would normally print this image probably directly from Photoshop, but Epson print layout works fine. It has some nice simple layout settings. I've set the size, I've set the paper type, I've set my ICC profile, which is one I made for the Epson P700, but the P700 and P900 profiles are interchangeable, so I'm quite happy in using this. It's a relatively high key image. It's a view of a tree I saw in a wind pump when I was driving across part of Oregon a few years ago. But anyway, I'm just printing this. I've made the settings here. I've selected black point compensation on a matte paper. I'm using the perceptual rendering intent. I've hit print, and it's quite a large image to fit a piece of paper this size. Now, I have other articles about resizing images. This particular image, although I'm printing it at this size, was taken on a Canon 1DS3, so it's a 21 megapixel image. But I have resized it up to A2. You do have to wait a while sometimes whilst a slower laptop like mine gets around to processing the image. The printer now says it's receiving data, it's started to whir, and that's usually a good sign that a print is on its way. After a little jiggle, it's loading, and it's feeding the paper through, finding the front edge and lining the paper up ready to print. Now, as I said, I'm using this top feed. This is quite a thick paper. It's probably on the limit of what you want to use the top feed for. I have had an occasional misfeed with thick papers on this. So if it doesn't load properly, don't worry, just use the front feed. Now, looking at the print here, and I can look at it because there's a lamp inside which lights up the print area, I can see it's printing the sky of my image, and it looks to be printing just fine. Now, that's quite a reassurance, because quite often you do prints and you're waiting for them to come out the front here to see whether they're done, or you're trying to see what's happening inside. I do like it that Epson have actually bothered to put the lamp inside. They do this on some of the larger format printers anyway, and it's a nice touch on this. On the screen here, it's telling me I'm printing this at a medium quality setting, and it's telling me that I've got 7 minutes to wait. Now, 7 minutes, not a bad time to print of that, and I've got the view here. I can actually swap over the option and I can see the image that's being printed. And reassuringly enough, it's the same image that's on my computer there. Now, I know it may seem a bit saying, oh, it's the same image, I can see it being printed, I can see it there. But a lot of getting to grips with printing is about having the confidence to print things. You will waste paper, you will waste ink, you'll get things wrong. But once you've the experience of doing the prints, you will get a lot more out of your photography. I've written quite a few articles about how printing makes a difference to your photography, and I can't recommend it enough, because to me, when the print comes out and I hold the print up, that is the photograph done, or at least for that particular version of it. It becomes much more real when it comes out as a physical print than just seeing it on screen. Just one of those things. If you've never printed your photographs before, please do try it. It gives a whole new feel. And then when you've printed some photographs, try printing your photographs bigger. And that really does make a difference. Anyway, here comes the print. The colour looks fine, there's no problems. I did, when I first set the printer up a while ago, I'd not used it since yesterday, I happened to put a sheet of A4 plain paper in it and did a nozzle check. It was fine, there's no real problems with that. But if you're printing large sheets of paper like this, and these are not cheap, these sheets of paper, it's a shame to risk not getting a good print just because you didn't try something like a nozzle check before you started. Here we are at 3 minutes to go, and the print is looking very good. Although print this size is something you don't normally look at very close, it is worth checking your prints in detail to look for possible mistakes, possible errors. This is one of those points. This is what I believe is called as a 2 pairs of glasses job, where to see the fine detail I really do need a second pair of glasses or an extra strong pair of glasses. And it's looking fine. No damage to the paper, no head strikes or anything like that. It looks great. We're nearly done. I'm not sure if you can hear it. We are done. There's a whirring sound at the back here. That's a cooling fan, which there's an input to at the back here. The print's done. And it looks rather nice. There we go. That reminds me of a drive across one of the flatter bits of Oregon a few years ago, one autumn. The wind pump, one tree, some cut corn, and a big sky. Anyway, I hope that's of help to anyone considering doing prints of their own or looking at possibly doing bigger prints than they used to. As I've said, it really does make a difference printing. This image is incomparable to any I put on a screen. Yeah, it looks great on a big screen, but it looks far better like this. Hope that's been of use. Do check out the articles, reviews that I've got. I've got a full review of this printer coming up shortly, but this is just a quick test just to show you how good it can be. So, thank you.